It's day 2 of the Cambridgeshire meeting at Newmarket on Friday. I think there's 4 ITV races in total. To be honest, they're not the most fascinating of betting races. There's a couple of small fields. The Rockfell's only got 5 in. The Joel Stakes is very interesting at the moment anyway, but it will be, well, it remains to be seen whether Ben Battle stays in, because he has been withdrawn already on account of soft ground, and there is plenty of rain forecast for Friday morning, and I think it's already good to soft in places on the Thursday, so going into the Thursday. So it remains to be seen whether Ben Battle will show up. It's an interesting race, even if he doesn't, but that does sort of temper enthusiasm for betting overnight, at least. If the one of the market leaders is potentially going to come out. So I'm going to avoid that race. The Princess Royal Muhara Stakes, though, I think is a race that probably got a half decent bet in it. Alpinista really, I think, is the one to beat in that. She was possibly seen to fairly good effect when she finished second to Love in the Yorkshire Oaks last time, just given that a few of the others in the race disappointed. But overall, you just look at her overall profile, she's bred to be a strong stayer. She's yet to get a proper test of stamina. It was a steadily enough run rate on quickish ground at York last time. She finished second. She was no match for Love. She beat those in behind her. A few of them were disappointing, but she was staying on at the finish. That was her first start at a mile and a half. The soft ground and potential rain that's falling, I think every drop will be in her favour, just turning the race into more and more of a stamina test. I'm hoping that Sea of Faith goes out and makes the running, as she did when she won a listed race in France on the weekend. If she won't, I don't think, want an absolute crawl either. So I suspect that Tom Arquand will make it a decent enough test on Sea of Faith, and that will probably play into the hands of Alpinista, who will stay a mile and 3/4 in time. But I think a soft ground mile and a half run at a decent gallop should really suit her, and she looks the one to beat. She's about 9-4, but I think that's a fair price, really, when you consider the strengths of some of the others in the race. As I mentioned, don't particularly love the other ITV races in terms of betting races at the moment. So I'll stick to the 6th and 7th races for my other 2 bets. The 4:10 is a race that is the Godolphin Stakes, and to be honest, it's probably Godolphin that hold the key to it. They've got 3 runners. They've got Loxley in there, who I think is probably going to find this an absolutely ideal setup. He's a horse that may be a little bit quirky, but he's got a turn of foot. He'll travel strongly on the bridle for a long way and basically be produced with one run at the end of the race. And that, in a small field, I think, where things are likely to be tactical, will be ideal. He quickened up best when he won in Maidan last time. He beat Defoe, who couldn't match his turn of foot. This is obviously an easier race than that, and he's got form on soft ground as well, so that doesn't particularly bother me. He's the first string for Godolphin by the looks of it in the Godolphin Stakes, and it should be relatively straightforward for him. I don't think they're going to go mad. It will be a steady enough gallop that's set. Potentially the other Appleby horse, Walton Street, will set it. Loxley will sit last and pick his way through and just quicken and hopefully come with a winning run late in the day under William Buick. The final race on the card is probably my strongest bet of the day at Newmarket. A horse called Moronier in the 9 furlong handicap. I think 9 furlongs, this sort of intermediate trip between obviously a mile and a 1/4 is ideal for him. He won over an extended mile at Epsom on bad ground at the end of last season. And he's essentially been running well without being seen to best effect in 2020 so far. He's shaped as if he needed the run at Newmarket on his return. He met trouble at Sandown on his penultimate start, second start of the season. And then at Ascot last time, things just didn't go his way at all. He was travelling well, looking like he may play a hand in the finish. He got intimidated and hampered by a horse on his outside. He lost his position, and then he was running on again at the finish. He's got Sean Levy taking over, a rider who's was on board for him for his last victory, so that's a positive, I think, and essentially just looks on a good mark. 89, I think, is fair for him. He'll probably get a fairly positive ride in a race where there isn't a load of pace on. And this, like as I've repeated before, this intermediate trip, I think, is really right up his street. He does stay 1.25 miles, but he doesn't lack speed. This looks a good opening for him. He's currently priced up at 8-1. That's an early price. I suspect that he'll still be a good bet, even if you can get sort of fives, 9-2 even. I think he's got a very good chance in what looks an open race. The favourite, Make It Rain, she to me looks like an out-and-out all-weather horse. She was impressive on the all-weather last season. She was impressive again when winning at Wolverhampton last time. She's under a penalty for that effort, but it's hard to forget the way she bombed out on soft ground at Redcar earlier on in the season. She travelled into it well that day and just didn't get home on the soft surface. So any rain would be a negative for Make It Rain. Whereas Moronier, the selection, that's absolutely fine for him. He's a winner on heavy ground already in his career. So Moronier, probably the strongest view in an open handicap, the last race at Newmarket on Friday.